All right, let's take a closer look at this switch. So now you know it's a three-way switch. You know that because it's got those three terminal screws. 1, 2, 3. And you verify it and you see, okay, no on switch, no on marking, no off marking. So three-way switch, and then you've got additional information now. Here it tells you that this switch is rated to be used with copper and copper-clad wire only. So CU is copper. So you can't use this for an aluminum wire. Copper wire only. And it's been checked out and certified by the Underwriters Laboratory. And this is a C, big C with an SA in it. That's the Canadian Standards Authority, or Canadian Standards Association. So these are the symbols that you want to see on a switch if you're going to use it in the United States or in Canada. And you'll always find electrical information as well. Like here you see that this switch is designed to be used in a 15 amp circuit. Right there you see a 15A. So a 15 amp circuit on a 120 volt alternating current only. All right, so 15 amps, 120 volt AC. And then flipping it over to the back side, you got some interesting markings. Here you have, I guess that's the best spot. Okay, then here you got where it says strip gauge. Strip gauge for back wiring only. So what that means is if you're going to back wire it, you're going to lay your wire in here and strip off that much insulation and then stick it in that hole. And that'll be the right amount of copper showing and the right amount of insulation. And here, this is interesting. You see common. So this is actually going to be your input. This is where the hot wire is going to get connected. Then remember, this is a three-way switch. So look at the color of that terminal. See how that's a dark colored terminal, where this one's brass looking and so is this one brass looking. So on a three-way switch, your incoming hot wire is going to go to this dark terminal right here. And it's called the common, actually, as it turns out, on a three-way switch. That's called the common terminal, and these two are your travelers that go out to the other switch or to the load. And then you have more information here which says that this switch is designed to be used with FETA 14. So number 14, 14 gauge solid copper wire only. And those are your markings on the switch. And then to finish out, you've got your grounding terminal here. So you take your green ground wire or your bare ground wire and you'd put it underneath here, tighten it down to ground this. And then you've got, well, I won't wrap it up yet. I'll just carry on. You see these screws right here? These screws are what are going to screw into your box in your wall. This tab right here is just a capture that screw so it doesn't fall out. Isn't that handy? And so these have tabs on them to keep the screw in. Here's a box. This box will be hammered in wood construction, be hammered into your stud. Hammer in that way into your stud, and that'll be firmly fixed. And then you can you'll take your wires and you'll pop out these tabs back here and feed your wires in and feed your wires from below. However you're going to get your wires in there, you'd wire this up, and then you'd fit it in so that these screws fit in that hole. Do you see that? It's going to fit in that hole. And then down below, you'll fit it in that hole. And then you'll just screw it down and tighten it up. And that's how that'll be put in there. And so you'd grab your screwdriver, tighten that down nice and tight. Remember, this is in a wall, and you got sheetrock involved. And so this box may not be exactly flush to the wall. Like it might be at some angle to the finished wall. And so once you screw this switch down all the way down to this body right here, if this body is not flush to the wall, then your switch will be at some angle like that. And so you have these ears right here, and you can stick your screwdriver in there. And here's my screwdriver, and you can bend these ears back. See those creases there? You see those creases right there? Those are designed. I don't have a good angle on it, but anyway, the point is that you can bend these ears back, and then you can adjust how this is going to sit relative to being flush in your wall by using those ears. So here you have a two-way switch. You can tell it's a two-way switch. Well, one, it's got an on and an off. And so you can wire your hot to this terminal or this terminal. Doesn't really matter. Looks like this has got some markings on it, which might lead me to believe that this would be the right way to wire it, and off would be such that hot's coming in here and it's off, and then it'd continue out here, so when you go on, it makes the connection. Up here you got your green grounding screw. And then you got similar markings as you had on the other, but a little bit different, as you had, similar as you had on the three-way, but a little different. Now this does say copper or copper-clad wire only. That's the same. There's your UL. I don't see a Canadian. Ah, it's over here. So there's a Canadian Standards Authorization or Association. Here's another marking for copper, CU. And then here's one that says no aluminum. So this is aluminum only. And again, you look for your electrical ratings. This is rated for a 15 amp circuit, 120 volt AC only. And that's all the markings on the front that are interesting. And on the back, pretty much, looks like pretty much the same thing. Let's see. Yep, there's a strip gauge. There's markings that say copper, in case you missed it before, number 14 gauge. And yep, that's it for this switch. Now here we have another switch. Now this is just a heavier switch. I mean, look at this all enclosed back enclosure. And this just looks beefier across here. This switch is super lightweight, so just less heft to it. Now this is a two-way switch, granted, and this is a four-way switch, granted, because you got your four terminals there. So this you'd use in a bigger room, and it's just got more mass to it. Here's a three-way switch. It's just that the construction of this switch is just heftier than this switch here. Like, it's just a heavier switch. And if you look at it, you'll see it says, here, let me stick it up here. It says right here, specification grade. So that's telling you this is an industrial rated switch. This is just a beefier build. Okay. It does have the Underwriters Laboratory. This is a little different. Instead of the UL marking, it says Und Lab Inc. So this is passed by Underwriters Laboratory. It's passed by the Canadian Standards Association. And it's rated for a 15 amp circuit, but look, it's rated for a 120 volt circuit, or it can be used in a 277 volt circuit. So that's part of the reason that it's built so much heavier. And then on the back here, you got a strip gauge. So this strip gauge is in case you want to poke your wire in these holes. So you lay your wire in there and strip off that much insulation. And the way these work is you stick your wire in the hole, then you just clamp it down. You just tighten down this right on that wire. And inside of this body is the mechanism that'll clamp against this wire if it's stripped properly down in there. All right, so that's a heavier specification grade four-way switch, 277 volt.